on, guys? Welcome to Monday Bully Live. We got a hot one for you. We got Poppa Pitt in the house along with Gaines Bullies. And, man, we're going to make this happen today. What is going on, Poppa Pitt? How are you?
First of all, thank you all so much for allowing me to be a part of this podcast. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been following Raw for a minute there. I didn't really know who the gentleman was, and then I got invited and like, oh, wow, I finally get to meet this man because I've seen you've done a lot for the community with your podcast. You're very informative. You run a good show, and I love that. And what's ironic sometimes is when you get to some of these shows, the attendance isn't as much as a shouting match and stuff like that in some of these lives, and I just don't understand that part of it. But, when you get something like this, and they give educational stuff, sometimes it's harder to draw an audience. But I noticed that you have done a great job of bringing in a lot of good content for the public. And I have been watching, believe it or not. So
Wow.
I'm honored to be a part of this, guys.
Man, I'm honored. Man, those words coming from him mean a lot to me, man. Thank you so much. I've been following you as well from afar. I came real late into this new breed that we call the American Bully. I've only been around for about 10 years, but I can't take all the credit, man. I have a guy in the back. His name is Kyle Holland. I'm about to bring him up. His name is Hollywood. There he is. And these two gentlemen down here have also been amazing. They've joined us here recently, but they've been contributing. I mean, I can't even begin to explain. So I tip my hat off to all of them, and I take your words honorably.
You caught me off guard there, man. I'm like looking around, doing stuff. Oh.
I know, man. You're setting up in your new studio that we can see from here. I get you, man.
Yes,
I got you. Hey,
That's it.
number love. Hey, Kyle, let's make this show the best show that we've done to date because we got the man in the house. Guys, what do you guys know about Poppa Pitt, man? Whenever you hear Poppa Pitt, what's the first thing that comes to y'all's head, man?
Legendary.
The originator. He's the originator, man.
Legendary, man. I seen Poppa Pitts, man. I was trying to learn how to stack a dog, and I was surfing the YouTube channel and seen him up there, man. Had a dog on a stack box in a crazy stack, and I just played it over and over and over.
Yeah.
So that's why I first initially seen him on YouTube, stacking puppies.
Same here, man. The first experience, look up American Bully. There he was teaching me how to stack.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was there, man. It was just so relatable and man, just class act. And in the bully game, if he don't like what you got, you need to start over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was the cool brim, man, and the look Poppa Pitts. He just had a look about him, man.
Yep.
The first time I ever heard of Poppa Pitt, I'm going to tell you right now, I was talking to Danny Cervantes about 7 years ago. And the name Poppa Pitt came up in a conversation. I don't recall what we were talking about. And then from that point on, I became intrigued and I started, researching, asking more than anything, because unfortunately, I feel that this gentleman to my left deserves to have a Wikipedia page that gives him the contributions that he has afforded to this breed. But nonetheless, man, talking to people, he's highly respected in this community. And today I'm honored to have you here on our platform. And I want nothing else than for you to tell us, Poppa Pitt, how you became Poppa Pitt.
Well, first of all, I want to make a clarification. The flyer you guys posted stated that I was one of the founding fathers of the breed, and I'm not that guy, to be honest with you. I'm totally honest with you. I came in a few years later, but that doesn't mean I was not chasing it, because it was an amazing breed. I seen it coming. I knew a lot of the breeders. A lot of them were my friends. So I came in after they had established the movement. So I wanted to make that clear. I don't want the people saying, "Oh, Poppa is saying he's the forefathers." No, I'm not the guy, man. You guys, I'm very transparent and very honest, man. I will say this: I'm very honest, and the other thing I would say is that I'm very honored that I had the influence I did have coming in a little bit past that time. So I think I did have a large, influence in the breed and moving forward there. So that part I can stand by, and I see that proudly. That I did help, mold and shape the dog as it come to be today. So with that, I owe that to my community. That's not me. That's just a passionate guy like the guys that are in here with me. These guys are all passionate, and they're in here and they're moving forward. They're sharing everything with you guys and building this community. Now, how did Poppa Pit come about? I started, I've had dogs my entire life growing up as a kid. I mean, I've lived in the same town for 63 years. I'm still in the same town. I'm like a clock. You can set things to everything I do during the day. Just that I'm getting older, my clock runs a little slower. But overall, like I said, when I first started into this, it started way back in 1983 is when I got my first actual paper dog. So that was the beginning of the pit bulls and so that, because I started with game dogs as far as in the bully world, but prior to that, I had just about every breed imaginable under the sun. I had Samoyeds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, Poodles, Pomeranians, Chihuahuas, just about everything under the sun I had, just being a dog lover. And from there, I moved forward into the pit bulls, started showing pit bulls in UKC. And in the UKC, I did very well. AKC, I did very well. And then I came into the American Bully. I started showing roughly 96, 97, 97 strong, dipping my foot in the water at 96 and moving forward from there and having a pretty good run in the UKC. And that's actually where I got the name Poppa Pit that everybody talks about. And I've repeated the story 100 times. People probably tired of hearing it, but what it was is I used to go to the UKC shows, and I'd show up early, and there would be other participants there. So I would go in and I would set up, and my friends would show up, and I'd go and I help them unload their trucks and their cars and help them set up. So I had a young lady that we became very close. She was like a daughter to me. Her name was at that time Lee Sosner, now Lee Carver. Lee Carver is actually the one who gave me the name. So one day I'm at a show, and I've always had gray hair. I mean, my family turned gray at 30 years old, man. So everybody thought I was 100 years old, man. And so one day Lee says, Ron, you're like everybody's pops around there, man. I'm gonna start calling you Poppa Pit. And it was baptized. That was it. And the name stuck, and I couldn't shake it, So ever since then, it's been Poppa Pit. And it's ironic because I had a hard time, because a lot of men have a hard time calling me Papa. So I get it though, and I tell them, hey, listen, it's a nickname. I'm not trying to punk you, man. I'm not trying to be your papa, man. So it was a double-edged sword, but it grew on people. So nowadays there's not a lot of people that that have a problem with it. And again, like I said, it was not something that I dubbed myself. This was something that was given to me by a real good friend, and I was blessed to continue on from the UKC into the AKC. That was a lot of fun. I had a blast there. And then into the American Bully scene. That's where I was very influential in setting up the first bully registry, as far as like criteria for judges, yes, the way the ring was ran and so forth. I had some input into the standards. There was a lot of input from different people, and to this day, there's a lot of people say, "Well, I did this and I did that," and I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that says, I had major roles, but there was other people that had also. We put a committee together. I put a committee together of judges and people so that we could develop these criteria, these people, for the show ring and judges standards, and even code of ethics. These were all things that we all participated in. We wrote something up, we threw it to committee, and it was seeded, and we grew the tree from there. It was never just one person saying, "Well, I did this," and there's a lot of people that this day say, "I did this, I did that." That's one of my favorite pictures too, Raul. That you have there, man. That's one of my favorites, working with the pup there. But and then from there, I became the director of judges for the major registries, and that's where we developed a lot of what you see today in the ring, and that's with probably the top 3 registries in the bully community. And since then, I've worked with just about every registry under the sun, from overseas to the United States. Canadian, South America, Thailand, Philippines. I've worked with all the registries and helped them develop their registries, and multiple registries in South America. So it's been quite a journey, and I feel very blessed to be a part of this community, man. So.
Wow. And the community, I can tell you, is very blessed to have you. I got a lot of questions to ask you because I wasn't there. And, I kind of want to ask you questions so I can kind of see through a telescope what was going on back there. What was it like back there as far as the American Bully when you came in? If you give me a particular time frame, we could throw it out there. What years did you come in order to get the judges and everything going? Was this when the ABKC first came out in 2004, or?
Well, actually, it was. That's when 2004 was actually when the registry was recognized, as a real serious entity in the dog world. But prior to that, there was like maybe a year to 2 years prior that was in the development, and in those years, it was more of a meet and greet type scenario. The atmosphere was really laid back. It was done at a lot of parks. And to this day, I can remember some of the first shows. Wow. I'll give an example. Some of the first shows were males on one side and females on the other. They didn't divide it by age groups, nothing. You know what I'm saying? It was just they all lined up and pick out the nicest dog. And then people really didn't understand the whole thing of, structure and health and all that stuff. So that came on as time proceeded. And I pretty much had told at that time the ABKC that, be prepared because we're headed for a direction that it's going to become more demanding. Anytime you start putting competition in something, the values and the expectations are much higher of your organization. So with that being said, when they started developing, I told them, I said, listen, we really gotta catch up. It's going to happen. And they're saying, well, what's going to happen? I said, well, what's going to happen is they're going to have higher expectations of judges. They're going to have higher expectations of the show atmosphere and so forth. So that's when we started developing the criteria for requirements of judges and the principles and ethics, the way a show is supposed to be run. And I will be the first to tell you that when I was part of that, I didn't do anything. I didn't reinvent the wheel. When I was in there, basically what I did is I stole a little bit from the UKC, a little bit from the AKC, and pitch this and a pitch that, and we put it together to make the format that what you see today in the bully community. There was no need to reinvent the wheel. It was already all established, already there. It was just a matter of picking and choosing what we felt was best for us. And there were certain things that didn't get put in that today I wish they would still have put them in. But I think they're coming. I think those situations and those types of classes that I want to see in there, I think they're going to flourish in the years to come. But it was something very exciting at that time. And needless to say, the American Bully is probably the only registry in the history of canine, dogdom, what are you going to call it, the world that has accelerated at a rocket's pace. This thing came in, like 2002 actually, and it took off. And by the time 2004 came in, it was full throttle. It was a little slow in the beginning, and I think that's why they brought me in, because they knew that I had a reputation and I was established and I had I had good morals and ethics behind me, and I was already pretty much well known in those areas. As far as being a show person, everybody knew me as a show person. That I did it before I got into the ABKC or the BRC as well. So so when I got into those things, I was already a little bit known. I wasn't like worldwide known like I am today, but I was kind of established as being a go-to person.
Mm-hmm. What would you attribute the meteor rise of the American Bully in comparison? Because like you said earlier, you were dealing with pits, chihuahuas. Dogs or dog breeds that have been established for forever, for over 100 years. What would you say is the main or attributing factor to the meteor rise of the American Bully in this short time span?
You know, that's a great question, and I'll put it this way. I'm gonna go a little further back than that even. You know,
Okay.
for many years when we talk about the pit bull and so forth, for many years I've always said the pit bull was a poor man's dog. You know,
Sure.
if you ever noticed, man, it was like every little hood rat, you know, junkyard people, whatever you want to call them, everybody that had something to protect or they got a pit bull. They thought that was the greatest, you know, guard dog on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So they
Right.
got that, and plus it was a status of, I guess, machismo. You know, I was not a big fan of the game movement, although I had game dogs. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I had them, you know, but I never put them in the box. You know, so I've had like Jeep, Crenshaw, some of the old school true game dogs. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about pretty high caliber dogs, you know. And
Okay.
but I just couldn't get into it. So with that being said, I think what accelerated, believe it or not, was it was catering to those people, and it was more like a hip hop movement. You know, it was more
Yep.
like a rock type thing. You know what I mean? You know, in the beginning we had the meet and greets, and then it progressed because some of the best meet and greets ever were 10 miles from my house. It was a park called Kearney Park in Fresno, California, and you had to see it to believe it, man. It was like a festival, man. It was crazy, man. I'll give you an example. You know, there was a lot of my personal belief that the true American Bully was born in Southern California. You know, I'm in the I'm north of there. I'm 3 hours north of there. But my honest assessment of this breed is that it was born
That's for the
and
movement.
developed. Yeah, the movement was in Southern California. These guys had amazing dogs. So we would have these meet and greets here to give you an idea of what it was like. And they would come up, right? And the dog pound, which was here in Fresno, these guys would put on an amazing show. And just a small group of guys, you know, they would get donations, and we would have, like, I swear you're going to laugh at this, man, but we would have meat and tortillas. We'd make tacos for, you know, 500 people, man. You know what I mean? It was nuts, 1,000 people, you know what I mean? And it was all donated stuff, and we never ran out of food, you know what I'm saying? So, and these guys, when they would show up, I'll give you an example. There was like the Gotti crew and some of the other guys. These guys would show up set up like a lounge, you know, couches and chairs and you know, recliners and you know, live musicians. It was nuts, man. It was like
Wow.
it was a big party, man. You know what I'm saying? But it was controllable and it was a lot of fun. And I think that's what really started the whole movement, because it was not just dog, you know, not just dog lovers and passionate dog lovers, but just a bunch of good old boys getting together and celebrating, man. You know, you know, and it was never no shouting competition. It was like, you know, it was true, honest competition. Everybody wanted to win. Don't get me wrong, you
Right.
know, but it was just a thing of, it was more of a relaxed atmosphere. You know, I mean, it was again, it was like a family reunion at the park, basically. I'm saying it was just a lot of fun, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And
sorry to interrupt you real
no,
quick,
go.
Papa Pete. I got to ask you a question because Malachi. So we have this thing now that when our people comment or interact with us, we're going to give the guest the opportunity to say thumbs up or thumbs down for a free spin of a prize wheel.
Oh,
And
that's
what
awesome.
Malachi is saying is urban culture. That's that's one of the main reasons as to why this breed has had a meteor rise in the last 20 years. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, Papa Pitt, on that, and we'll give him a spin or not.
That's a
Did he?
thumbs up. It is the urban culture that made it move.
All right.
All right.
So stand by. We got to stop
And
everything, and we got to quickly, if
just
I
go
can,
to the wheel.
yeah, we're gonna quickly go to the wheel and quickly come back to you. Here we go. Sorry, guys. There we go. We got the wheel. All right. Can you guys see the wheel?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. Here we go, man. Here we go, Malachi. Give thanks to Papa Pitt for this wheel spin. And it's going to fall on. Come on. All right, man. You got yourself a free hat and a beanie. Make sure to download QBN app. Make sure to get with my guy, Kyle Holland. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to drop his phone number here below. And you could just, there it is. And all you got to do is give him your information, and we're going to send you your hat. Papa Pitt, sorry for the interruption.
No, that's
Real
beautiful.
quick,
I love it.
real quick, we have ourselves 2 new members. Kyle, make sure to have my music ready for Andrew Hood. Let's hear it.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
Claro que sí, cabrón. We're here every Monday at 8 p.c.s.t. And one more.
Pues claro que sí,
Herman.
cabrón.
There you go, Poppa Pitt. Please keep it rolling. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, and pretty much that was the birth of the whole movement. I mean, it was exciting. It was fun. A lot of great relationships were forged, and they're still friends to this day. And the sad thing is, what really concerns me, believe it or not, is we're slowly losing some of those original founding fathers. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I feel like I hope it doesn't just disappear. I think that's just this movement was such a crazy movement in the canine world that I feel like it should be archived somewhere. I think somebody needs to go down there and write a book about these gentlemen in Southern California and stuff that really pushed this breed and developed it, because they're dying off, some of the old guys that were part of this, and it's going to be history that will never be spoken. And to me, that's a real heartbreak, because the American Bully has been, think about it, man. You know, within a couple of years, you could Google the name, it would come up on, you know, Wikipedia. It would start coming up everywhere. It became a very common term, you know, and it was essentially overnight, you know. And there were certain players that came in, and they did help it, but and that profited from it. They profited from it greatly, but they piggybacked on these guys that really developed this breed. Yeah, and it's a shame, because it breaks my heart, because these guys will be gone, and they will never know the true birth of this amazing breed and thing.
Well, Poppa Pitt, let me just say this here real quick. Kyle, bring me back to the main screen. Kyle has gotten a conglomerate amount of pictures, and what we want you to do is give us a historical background of each picture he's going to bring up. We don't want the history of this breed or yourself or anybody else that has contributed to this breed to be forgotten. And we want to make sure we put it on here on this platform for everyone to see forever and ever. So, Kyle, go ahead and roll it and let Poppa Pitt, you know, give us a history lesson, man.
This was at the Great Western Terrier Show in Long Beach, California. It happens to be the second largest terrier show in the United States, and it's all terrier breeds. And I happen to have Ty, my AM staff there, and he won Best of Winners. And it was a very prestigious show. I'll never forget that lady wearing the yellow dress is holding a bronze statue of a AM staff playing with a baseball cap. And there's a serving tray and my awards and all that stuff. It was just an amazing thing. And I'll be honest with you, man, I was very new to the AKC, and I didn't even know how to act, man. I didn't know whether to cry, laugh, clap. You know, it was a big thing to me. You know what I'm saying? So that picture there really speaks a lot of volume to me of my journey through the dogs. It was quite an event. Okay, here we go.
Let me just make a quick interjection here. Kyle, bring me to the main screen for a second. So, Big Beach Bullies. Let me give you a little background on me. I'm from Miami, Florida, right? I'm half Cuban, half Venezuelan, right? So back in the days, I'm talking about 88, 87-ish, something like that. I remember hearing about some Poppa Pitt somewhere. The name was popping up in the 305. And Big Beach Bullies is bringing it up. He's saying, all my cousins spoke about this guy, and I never knew who he was. Well, Big Beach, I'm in the same boat as you. Way back then, I heard about it, but I had no clue, man. I would have never known. Just to let you know the impact you had even before you got into the American Bully world, which you probably already know. Sorry for interrupting. Keep going.
No.
Bring it back up, man.
Yeah, and Florida brings back memories of a great. I think there was a dog named Silver Fox or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he was. Very famous dog there, and he was the flagship of Florida at that time. And if I'm not mistaken, I just God, my memory's gone blank. But there's one particular dog that was really sought after in Florida. So that was way back in them days. I went there and I actually showed dogs in Wesley Chapel and Hollywood, Florida. But this dog right here, this happens to be Diamond. This is an Edelhaus dog. And again, I'm trying to remember where this was. This was again the Great Western Terrier Show. I believe that's where that is. And this dog, I swear to God, man, she never let me down, man. This girl brought me to the ribbons, into the final ring every time we stepped into the ring. Just a beautiful example of an ass staff.
Very
And I learned so much.
very.
Yeah, and there she is again on the right side. And the picture on the right side with the lady standing is actually the AKC Amstaff Nationals. And I won an award of merit with that girl there at the Nationals. So that was pretty prestigious win. The one on the left is my dog Spanky's Midnight Raider, and that was at it was a UKC Pitbull Nationals, and I believe that was in 1998. And the gentleman that's the judge here is the Honorable Ron Gaither. And Ron Gaither, as you can see, he just couldn't take his eyes off the dog because he had actually he's memorized, man. He cared less about a camera, And what was honored to me about that picture before we move forward is that gentleman is the breeder of a well-known dog called Jet Bomber, and he was a black dog, jet black, beautiful animal. So he was a well-established man in the UKC as a judge and a breeder, and it gave me great honor to have somebody with his knowledge and aspirations as a breeder to select my dog at that time as best male. So it was quite a accomplishment for me.
Wow. Bring me to the main screen. I got to interrupt here again. Just 1 second, Papa Pit, if you don't mind.
That's fine. No, I love it.
We have a question. We have a question on history, and then we have a question that I want you to answer on somebody having an issue with their female dog, okay? So we're just going to sit back and let the legend make it happen. Michael Higginson is asking, Papa Pit, how do you feel about the look of the Bully now versus when it started? Are you happy with the progression?
Well, to me, that's an awesome question. For the fact of the matter is that, when the American Bully first got introduced to the community of the dog world, it was an extreme dog, right? And then as it progressed into the show world, you have really hardcore show people that focus very much on structure and movement and so forth. But I'm sorry, guys, I don't have a little sound. But what's insane is that the dog was always meant to be an extreme dog. So if you look at it now, it's actually coming full circle because they went from extreme to very clean show type dogs. Now it's going back into the extreme dogs. But the extreme dogs you're seeing now are actually more solid as far as structure is concerned, top line, turn cycles, and so forth. They're coming around full circle and they're looking really amazing. If you ask me, I think they're coming into where they were supposed to be, and since the beginning. So is it done yet? No. Will I ever see the finished product? No. And the reason I say this is if you look at the American Pitbull Terrier, if you look at the early years of the Colbys and all these other guys, the expert lines and all these lines that go way back, you'll see that there was not really a whole bunch of consistency yet because it was just a new breed coming forward, and if you really think about it, the American Pitbull Terrier is now probably, I want to say roughly maybe 145 years old, 140 years old, so to compare them to the American Bully is not being realistic. It's not fair. Exactly. Because, what are we at? We're like maybe 20 years old, maybe, I'm saying, as far as recognized, but before that, probably maybe 30 years total. So to say that, we can compare to that and we should have those dogs like that, I think is a unjust value or a valuation of the American Bully. I think it's still evolving, and I'm glad to see that it's getting there. I honestly believe that I'm seeing more perfection in the size and what it's supposed to look like. And again, when you start adding in the show element, people get obsessed with certain things. And I'm not saying that, that they're wrong, but what deviates dogs in any form of dogs is the look of the animal. You always have to put the look above all. In other words, you want structure, but it's got to have the look. You know,
Right.
if it looks like a greyhound and it's got all the perfect lines, he's not American Bully. And one of my examples that I tell people about this is that I will tell people, you know, if I get me a Doberman Pinscher, right, and I don't cut his ears, you know, and I take him into the Rottweiler ring, and I'm in the ring with all these guys, and these guys are big, you know, massive bone dogs, and I start moving my dog. Yeah, he's gonna float like a butterfly. You know, he's probably gonna have insane angulation. You know, he's gonna have a sloping top line. But does he have variety? Does he have that breed type? You know, he has the same colors. He's got the same tan points, the whole 9 yards. But guess what? He is not a Rottweiler. No. And the same thing happens, and the same thing happens with the American Bully sometimes. Sometimes the people in the American Bully world, they look at the structure and they make it override the actual breed type, that look of that specific animal. And this is that's what separates us from the Pitbull, the Amstaff, and you know, the other varieties. You know, there's actually two pit bulls. Even people didn't realize that. There's the Pitbull ADBA, and there's the Pitbull UKC. You know, if you look at the ADBA Pitbull, he's a real wiry, game-looking little guy. You know, you look at he's 35 pounds, soaking wet. You know, and he's all shredded muscle. Now you got the UKC, which is a spinoff or a close cousin of the Amstaff. At one time in history, you could have a dual registered dog. You could have a Pitbull, UKC Pitbull / Amstaff, and one pedigree. That dog was dual registered. So that gives you an idea how tightly the cousinry is on there. The familiarities and the genophenotypes of these animals, that's how close they were. So I honestly believe that it's starting to get a look that's distinguished in itself, totally separated from those dogs. You know, so it's a beautiful thing to me. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent. I think you have definitely given an answer to that question like none other, to be honest with you, because you took us all the way back and brought us all the way here. We have Teray Thompson. He's a little bit off topic, but at the same time, I kind of like the question for it to be presented to you because typically myself and Gaines, and I include both Mike Green and Donald Gaines when I say that, we answer these types of questions. I want to hear what you have to say. Teray Thompson Sr. says, my female has a weak rear. The stud I was going to use for her breeding has backed out. Should I take that as my female is trash, or are they simply not confident in their stud to help correct the flaw? What advice can you give my guy over here, Teray?
You know something? That's a great question. I can understand both sides of the scenario here. You know, I can understand, you know, the stud dog owner, because sometimes we have a very high expectation of stud dogs in this community, you know. And the other half, I can understand the gentleman that has a female, for the fact that he's trying to improve his game. Now, and this is what happens, you guys, is that sometimes when you put that stud dog on the spotlight like that, and I tell people this all the time. People come to me, want to use my studs. You know, I have Porky, I have Boom Boom, I have Maki. These are really nice animals, and they will come to me. So, you know, man, I got to fix this, and this, and I want them, and I want a dog look just like yours, right? And you know, right. You know, I want them to be just like, you know, Soldier. You know, I want identical like that. And I tell these guys, and it may be kind of rude and stuff, but I tell them, hey, listen, you guys, I'm honored that you look at it that way. So, but I will tell you this. That's a penis, not a magic wand. You know, so it's one of those things where, you know, he just can't wave that little pecker over that girl and it's going to be a great dog. You know what I'm saying? So you know, some of those things where, I don't get into show trouble, but, you know, but.
That's what I told my kids right there.
Yeah. So, you know, so and the other thing is how bad is the rear on your girl? Yeah, you're telling me she's weak, but, you know, without, you know, these are all, scenarios, and sometimes those are the hardest questions to answer with a solid answer. So depending on how bad your girl is, I mean, it's weak is like lacking, you know, turn the stifle, you know, lacking with the thigh, you know, there's a lot involved, you know, does she have, you know, weak joints, so there's a lot to evaluate on that. So, but I will say this though, on certain flaws that you're trying to correct and so forth, some of them are more difficult than others. And I will say this, skeletal structure flaws are very difficult to compensate. It's possible, but sometimes it will not happen in one breeding. You know, it may take multiple breedings. And the other thing is, it depends if it's a genetic issue. So if it's a genetic issue, by all means, do not breed the dog. You say start over, do what you got to do, get rid of the dog, and begin over again. So if the dog is, has a laxating patella, which is like a slip hawk, or if it has, dysplasia, bowel means, don't do it. Don't breed those dogs, right? Sometimes it's going to take an X-ray to see these things to clear your mind of them. You know what I'm saying? And there are more faults than that. Believe me, trust me. They have skeletal issues as far as the spine. Some of the spines have little, kinks in the spine because there's no secret that there's some secret sauce in there to make this look. So the question for you now is do you want to move forward and have that girl truly evaluated by somebody that understands dogs, and just don't get one person's opinion? It's like doctors, get a couple of doctors' opinions, get a couple of people's opinions, and you might go ahead and move forward and do a hip X-ray just to see where it's at. That's up to you. So and as far as the stud dog owners, I can understand what he's doing. He's protecting his investment, because in this community, what happens in this community, the stud dog gets blamed for everything. If it's a great litter, the stud dog, oh man, he's a badass. If it's a bad litter, oh, he's a piece of shit. I'm saying the stud dog.
They don't realize the female. How do you feel about that, Poppa Pit? You feel the female does more than the male?
Well, okay, that's another question. That's
yes.
I tell you, here it is. On that question is, on the books, right? Scientifically, yes, it's 50-50. There's no denying that part.
Right.
But what did the 50-50 is there? Is the 50-50 of that genetic makeup, is that in the inside of that dog, or is that on the outside of that dog? And what I mean by that is you have the genopheno. Pheno is the outer looks of the animal. Okay. So when you're doing the phenotype on the dogs, I'm a firm believer that you're gonna get. It's like even your own children. They're gonna take a little bit from mom, a little bit from pops. But the thing is, I think that the females have a greater influence on the outcome of the breeding. And if you go back and talk to old farmers, whether they're raising pigs, horses, chickens, or cows, they put a lot of merit in their brood bitches. And they're very selective with stud dogs. But the beauty of having a stud dog or a stud animal, it's to your benefit. For the fact of the matter, you get to pick and choose what you want. See, because then you create your own ideal of what is correct. But also in creating your own ideal, try to stay within the written standards of the law. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So too many guys are saying, "Well, I got my own vision." Yeah, but then you just made a dog that's
Outside.
He's got 3 eyes and 1 ear in the middle of his forehead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that was your vision, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that was a great question. I really like that question. Like I said,
Poppa Pit, one thing I was going to ask you I'll jump in right here because it's similar to that last question, is as you went to different parts of the country as the American Bully was developing, what did you see from Southern California to the East Coast, and were there places in the middle where they had a particular phenotype that you were noticing that you were impressed with?
Yeah, the great question again. It's so funny because on that question, it became somewhat of almost like an old school battle. You know what I'm saying? The old my dog better than your dog. And for the longest time, believe it or not, the West Coast was known for big dogs. Whether it would be an XL or a bully, whether they were pretty big dogs, man. And when it got further east, I should say, East Coast was a little bit smaller. They were more of the traditional type, and they caught up. And then now you got the Midwest in there, and they're jumping in, they're shaking their hand in the air, saying, "Hey, no, we're here, baby boys." So now, I would say in my early years, I would say that it was the West Coast. And if you look at all the dogs that as you went further east, slowly but surely, the influence of the West Coast was pushed hard. So a lot of these guys that are right there on the East Coast in the middle saying, "Well, my dog is this." Well, I got some news for you. You go back, you look way back. There's some California juice in there someplace, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So because that's the origination of this breed that we admire and love.
Poppa Pit, real quick, I'm going to make a quick pause. We're going to come right back to you. Just to give you a quick break, you can get a sip of juice or something. Here we go. Guys, real quick, let me talk to you about Nuvet and New Joint Plus. This is a multivitamin. This is joint support. Many people out here have done before and after pictures showing you the improvement that this alone brings to the table. If you're feeding kibble, if you're feeding raw, there could be some insufficiencies that are actually causing structural issues to your dog. Wouldn't you want to correct that? This is just it. The multivitamin that'll do it for you is Nuvet and also joint support with New Joint Plus. I recommend both bottles. We're going to go ahead and leave a link in the descriptions below. Now let's get back to it. So, Poppa Pit, is there any type of supplementation, anything special dietary you do with your dogs? We got Furman Broom asking, does Poppa Pit ever do any embark testing, or does he feed raw? And I'm going to add, do you use any supplements?
Well, I would like to answer that question, but since I don't have a sponsor like Rob does, I cannot answer that question.
we can make it happen, Poppa Pit.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now. When I grow up, I want to be like Rob. He's got sponsors. He does a commercial. Next you're gonna see him with some kind of football player in there with him. Or J-Lo says, if you want a rear like this is the supplement you need.
Yeah, there you go.
But back to the question now. Something. Repeat that question again. I'm sorry.
The question is just general. Do you embark test? So do you genetic test? Do you use any kind of supplementation? And in addition, do you feed raw?
Okay, here it is. When I was doing AMSATs, I fed raw, and I really liked raw. Man, it was back then. It was a feasible diet. Nowadays, with the current administration, meat has gotten very expensive, man. So it's a hard one to feed because nowadays, a chicken wing costs as much as a ribeye steak, and it's insane. So I did it at one time, and I really liked the results of it. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the things I did admire and I did like. As far as the embark, Soldier and Pum Pum are both embark tested. But the embark testing, and I'm not trying to bust these guys' chops, man, because I don't get myself in trouble. But embark testing is only going to show up as genetic markers.
Yes.
Now if you're talking about structural problems. Now you're talking, you're going to have to do like a pin hip or an OFA, the shoulders, hearts, and all that stuff. That's a whole different ball game. That's a different type of testing. It's more in depth. It's more thorough. So I did the embark. I mean, and I'm gonna throw another one there. And I know a lot of people are hardcore health tests. I totally get it. I'm saying. I don't do a lot of testing. I'm going to be honest about it, right? And I'm going to give you an example. There's a guy out there that, he was very influential in this community, and thank God that his parents didn't test because they both had heart disease. They both were diabetics, and they gave birth to a guy named Ron Poppa Pit Ramos. And if it was for testing, I probably wouldn't be here today, So, and I mean that in light, but in the same tone, it's serious. I have people that get upset with me and say, well, you don't test. And I said, well, you have kids? Yeah. You test? They look at me like, well, you're just being and I won't say the word, but you're being an ass, right? And I mean, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, you're concerned about these animals, but did you test them before you had your children? And I don't mean that in a bad way. And I'm sure, and I think testing is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it really is. But I don't live for testing. You know what I'm saying? I try to breed the healthiest dogs as possible. Am I always right? No. I will say this. I have seen dogs that were tested. There was a dog by the name of Bacala. Amazing dog, man. Beautiful dog, man. Just shredded, big muscle of dog, right? Double dysplastic. And this lady spent tons of money. This is way back before you guys even probably thought about it, but she actually did hip replacements on this dog, which was insane for that time. And it cost her like a fortune. Right? And she bred the dog. And it was so ironic is that he never produced a dysplastic dog. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where genetics are very tricky because, you really have to understand genetics for that to happen. Oh, I love that boy. Good boy. It's one of those things where it could be a recessive gene. In other words, it was skipping generation. That's the same boy, different ages. It's almost where some genetics is very complicated. It'll skip a generation, or you have to have both both breeding pair carrying the same marker. So there's a lot to it. I mean, it's not just simply throwing two dogs together. And don't get me wrong. Again, I don't want people to think I'm anti-testing. No, I just don't do it. I think if you can do it, by all means, do it. It does better your odds. But don't think that because your dog comes back, good hips, whatever it may be, and you're going to breed him and you get good hips, because he may be carrying that genetic marker in him somewhere, and it's going to push forward. So, I think sometimes that's almost like a false hope on your part to think, wow, my dog's cool, and he has these problems. And again, like I said, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I say testing is great. I just don't go by it that hard. I'm not a hardcore testing guy.
Okay, that's fair. Let me ask you this, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate because I have gone to the veterinary community on hip dysplasia specifically. And they're split, not necessarily 50-50, more like 40-60. They're split on it's genetic, and then you have 60% saying it's not genetic, it's environmental. Do you think environment, can be a possibility or plays a big part? A floor that's slippery, or having dogs or pups, for that matter, never having a surface where they actually are able to grip when they're starting to walk?
I think it all plays hand in hand. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a multitude of things. So is it genetic? I'm saying there's a great possibility genetic. I mean, I'm sure that there's more scientific evidence than I will ever have. And is it environmental? I think definitely it could be environmental. I've had puppies where, I may have changed their feeding and I may add something, to help certain situations. I'll give you just a small example. I started feeding some of my dogs more often with bone supplements, and a couple of bone supplements I'm referring to is like, just to give you a name, something like a Sure Grow 100. I felt better results on seeing paws look tighter, passions look a little stronger. And I recently started trying using a good quality collagen. So a real good quality collagen powder into their puppy food. And I feel like I'm seeing, it may be minimal, but I'm seeing, I want to say I'm seeing improvements. I need tighter feet, like I said, stronger pasterns, their little hips are getting stronger a little faster. And the other thing is when they brought up slippery surfaces, that's a very hard thing. I mean, when you're learning how to walk and they put a pair of roller skates on, you say, okay, kid, take a walk. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You're really, God willing that this kid will be able to walk when he becomes an adult. So it does that play a part? I believe it does. You know what I'm saying? When you're in your developmental stages, and if you can't get a good surface to learn how to stand or walk, it's going to destroy you. Like I said, just use your own child, for example. Put roller skates on a little baby. Say, I hate to do that to a baby just to prove a point. But the thing is, though, you really think about that, it's got to have an effect. You know what I'm saying? So I believe it is. You know what I'm saying? And at a very young age, there's so much stuff you can correct with like minimal exercise and minimal little techniques, whether it be walking them down a chute so that they have to stay in the side of the chute, in the middle of the chute, to strengthen them up, their hips, their front end assembly. There's so much you can do. It's amazing. There's a lot you can do. And it's not only the physical and the structural skeletal, but it's also the mental. Some people don't understand that. What you do puppies, it will affect them later. And there was actually years ago, it's still out there. I believe it's on YouTube, and I don't remember the name of it. I wish I did remember. But the military they would get newborn pups, and they would go through these sequences of stimulations, and they were developing, solid minds and nerves and stuff in these dogs. They would do things like, put them on a hot surface, a cold surface, hold them upside down, head down, head up. So they would.
So Donald.
Yeah.
So that's, See, so these things really do have influence on these animals. Believe it or not, you may not think so because he's not going to end up. He's not going to say, well, he's going to give you his ABCs by the time he's 3 months old. But the thing is,
Right.
you are stimulating the brain, and you're making that dog just a reassuring dog. He's going to have more confidence in himself.
You hit on something that is tremendously powerful, and I was about to tell you. Do you agree that everything comes down to genetics, nutrition, and exercise? But the one thing you just hit on right now, which is the mental aspect, mental can cause a dog to stress. Now we got to realize something: dogs are predators; they're not prey. Therefore, their adrenal glands are very small. The adrenal glands is what regulates the stress in animals, right? So if you were to kill a deer, they have a huge adrenal glands because they always have to be on a lookout because there's an animal about to kill them all the time. So they got to be they got to have adrenaline constantly be running around or whatever. Whereas in a dog, if you put them in a stressful state, okay, they're not able to deal with it for a long period of time. So their adrenaline gets used up really quick. And then other hormones, such as cortisol, for example, what it does is it's going to increase the sugar in the blood, which then is going to cause insulin to be released, and it's going to affect the growth hormone. So you're out here, you could be feeding a dog the very best supplement and food you want. You stress them the hell out consistently. And what's going to end up happening is your dog is going to grow wonky. And that's because everything in the pyramid and everything gets affected. All the hormones get affected from the mind first and then to the body. So I think you definitely hit that on the head, Papa Pig.
And that's why you see dogs. You speak volumes for the fact that's why you see dogs. Either when you corner a dog, he's not going to stay there. He only knows one thing. It's I'm going straight at you, and I'm going to take your arm off. There's no I'm going to cower down in the corner. No, you keep coming. Yeah, he's going to cower down from it. But once that cowardness runs out, it's you. He's going to get you. I promise you, man. And one more thing before we cut to another thing is what a lot of people don't understand is that a shy dog, along the same lines we're talking here, the mental capacity of the animal is a flaw as well. It's the dog is supposed to be confident, and the one thing that people don't 100%. realize is some of these are actually genetic. If you get a shy bitch, extremely shy bitch, and you breed her, I guarantee you're going to get shy puppies. And if you talk, right. So if you talk to like game dog breeders, working dog breeders, man, that dog, they run as far away as they can from that animal because they know it's going to be something that's passed down. And in the beginning of the bully world, there was a couple of times where there was quite a few of these dogs that were coming out. But as they learned, I very seldom see shy dogs anymore in the ring, which is a blessing. And I think it's a great thing to happen because at that time, people didn't realize that was actually a genetic disposition that could actually be passed down to the puppies. So, and that's what I just want to put into there right now. So I thought that was a great piece of thing you're saying about the confidence and the ability of the animals.
Papa Pitt, while we're on it, Mexican-made bullies member in our community is asking, is a gay tail considered a minor or major fault? And is it dominant? Same question for cowhawks.
First of all, Mexican-made bullies make the best tacos, okay? No, I was just messing, guys.
Free commercial.
A gay tail, believe it or not, it's considered a pretty serious fault, right? And what people don't understand, there's a difference between an example like a gay tail and a challenge tail. Now, a challenge tail is going to be a tail that's more or less erect, straight up. And I think sometimes that's judged a little hard. But the thing is, because that's a dog pretty much showing his confidence. And he's up there. Right. Usually when he got his tail straight up, his chest is puffed up, his head is at full rise. He's looking straight ahead, and he's on a pivot like he's ready for something to happen. You know what I'm saying? in the human side of it, we develop dogs that are pleasing to our eye. So we want a dog to have what they call a water pump handle, like the old-fashioned water pumps. You know, have just
Yes.
it would just you know have it just hold on, put my hat. It just I can't get that. Forget it. But it flows down like a water, like the old school water pump handle. You know, so it's one of those things where that's supposed to be. Now, as far as a cowhawk, that's a whole nother thing. Again, that's another skeletal condition that you have to be cautious of. And sometimes when you see cowhawk dogs, usually, and I'm not. First of all, I'm not the guru of dogs. Okay, I'm like everybody else here. We're just very passionate, and we try to do our best on learning stuff. So when you get a cowhawk dog, what happens sometimes is that that dog, majority of the time, or quite a bit of few of the time, is he's a overangulated dog. It's a dog that has a lot of turn of the stifle, and those hawks turn in, right? And in some of those dogs, believe it or not, in their puppy stages, they will correct themselves. Some of these dogs will end up turning around, and you'll be amazed how they end up correcting themselves and having, a nice rear. And there are certain things you can do to actually help straighten a cowhawk. And some of those things is a lot of uphill work. In other words, either you get, like back in the day, we would get, bales of straw and work the dog over the top of the straw and come back down again, keep going up now. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to strengthen the inner thigh of the dog. That's where a lot of that comes from, is in that weak inner thigh. So, and that's the other thing we start seeing a lot of. We start seeing a lot of dogs that don't have that thick inner thigh. They got a big thigh, and the other thing I see that you're losing is some of these dogs. You look at them sideways, and they got a real narrow thigh. If you look at the side of a dog, you want to have a nice, wide, thick thigh, not necessarily bulging out, just the width. From looking from the side of it, you want to see that, that width of that thigh that shows all that muscle and that bone, that structure. So, with that being said, some of these cowhawk dogs will strengthen and it'll go away, depending on the severity of the hawkiness. So, it's a great question. Like I said, work your dog, and hopefully, as it matures and strengthens, it will go away.
Excellent. Papa Pig, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down for Mexican-made bullies so we could give them a spin or not. Let me know.
I would give them the spin. That was a good question.
All right, here we go. Mexican-made. This is coming from Papa Pig for you, man. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, there we go. We got another hat beanie. All right, man. Papa Pig is killing the wheel today, man. Most definitely, Papa Pig. The wheel has been shy with us, passing out prizes here recently. Luckily, man, you're making it happen today. We have another question for you I want to throw at you real quick. And what they were at, here it is. Firm Broom is asking, what do you recommend a new breeder look for when picking his stud? Should we breed to the more extreme type or a more balanced type?
Great question, man. My question is this. Maybe you need to look at your bitch before you even make that kind of decision.
Right.
Because if you don't understand what she is lacking, what she needs, or what you want to add on to her, then you're throwing a dart in the dark. So, understand your bitch, understand your female, understand her strengths, her weaknesses. And then you want to find that dog that complements her. If you feel she needs a stronger rear, then find your dog with a rear. You need to turn and stifle, find that dog that has it. But I will say this, you guys, this is very important. This is the most important part of the whole breeding thing, is that never compromise a stud dog. And now let's use an example, a headpiece. I got to have a crazy headpiece, right? So you look for the dog with the biggest headpiece, right? And from the shoulders back, he's erect. So what I'm leading to is don't compromise getting that headpiece for the rest of the dog being erect. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So with that being said, try to find that dog with a crazy head, plus the body that can back it up. So the same thing applies to a top line, a rear, or whatever it may be. Look for that dog with a great rear that you're after. But don't sacrifice just going after the rear when the rest of them is erect. So you have to find that happy medium and find the dog that is complete. In other words, he's got the shoulders, he's got the head, he's got the rear. That's the dog you want to go after. I like breeding for myself. I like breeding. I've dubbed the term extremely clean. I've said that for years. Now, what I like to do is I like to find a real clean bitch and take her to a very extreme dog. But again, I will not throw it out with the bathwater. I have to have that extreme dog, but he has to have everything I need. He has to have the headpiece. He has to have the nice tight feet. He's got to have the turn stifle. He's got to have a top line. I will not breed to him if there's something that's really out of whack. And I'm saying he may have the headpiece, but his rear will be above his ears, and stuff like that. So again, it's a tricky question, but the best way to search for yourself is to understand your bitch, what she likes, what she needs, and then go get it. And you also got to understand, what are you aiming for in the breeding? What are you searching for? What are you trying to accomplish with the breeding? Do I want this look or that look? And last but not least, but stay true to your map, to your roadmap, to your blueprint. And what happens, we get caught up with a hype and stuff, and we jump ship and we change direction, we change lanes. Don't do that. Once you make your blueprint and that's what you want to do, stay with it and keep pushing forward with it. And you'll have more consistency and you have a better breed.
Hey, I got a question. Hey, how did the hat become iconic? There's a story behind the hat.
There's a story behind the hat, man. Okay, here it is, man. I was doing a show in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii to do a show. That man, back I did like 4 shows there. And when I was doing the show in Hawaii, I come from the valley, right? And right here where I'm at, it's all farm ag, and it gets the temperatures go from one extreme to the other. I mean, we don't get crazy freezing cold weather, but it gets damn cold, right? And we get crazy hot weather, So I thought like, oh man, I can handle any kind of heat, right? So I went to Hawaii and I started doing the show there, and I started getting a headache and a little dizzy and nauseous, and they're saying, hey, you're getting heat stroke. I said, man, I live in the valley. It's like the desert, right? And they said, no, the sun here is different. The way it reflects off the water and goes back down onto the island, it's like intensified. You don't feel it, but it's like that. So I says, okay, so this person happened to have a stingy brim, and he says, put this on. This will help you, right? Get some water, you take a break, put this hat on, and continue. So I wear the hat to the show, right? And back then, the shows from Hawaii and all over, they would put them on Facebook and everywhere else to see, and people seeing the hat on, right? So with that being said, I get back to the States, and my next show happens to be probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from me in a little town called Pixley, California. So I'm there and I'm doing this show, and I don't have no hat on. I got my tie, my shirt, the whole 9 yards, doing my show. And at the end of the show, this couple comes up and says, hey, Papa, we want to take a picture with you. I said, yeah, let's do this. I'm cool. Let's take a picture. They said, well, where's the hat? I go, what do you mean? What hat are you talking about? He goes,
already seen you.
Yeah, says, no, you were in Hawaii. We see this hat on you. I said, so thank God my wife was there, and she goes, here's the hat. She brought the hat, and I put the hat on, and it hasn't come off since. It was not something that I had planned or wanted.
Tom Landry.
Everybody thinks he's going bald or whatever. No, I'm thin. I'm thin hair, but I still got hair. But the thing is, it just happened to be a fluke that that person seen me there, and then that picture went out, and the hat never came off since, man. Even nowadays, if I don't walk into my kid's house, I go visit my son or my daughter, while I have my hat on, they put my face in a milk carton. They don't recognize me without the hat on, man. Just, shit, I'm stuck with this damn thing, man.
Now, how many countries have that hat been in, man?
Oh my God, man! Right there. That's that right there. You see that picture there? That's me in Vietnam, and that's a big plaza. Beautiful. And believe it or not, that centerpiece there, that big food dog. If I were to walk up to him and stood directly in front of that food dog, my head would barely reach the bottom of his chest. That's how big it is. Yeah. See, this is a big plaza. This is a big plaza in there. And the one on the right is, I believe that either that's in the United States, but there was another mascot, and he was in Peru, that the same black and white mascot, very similar like that. But I've been to, the one on the left is Peru also. Okay, the one on the right is the Peru. These are both Peru. But I've been to roughly 24, 25 different countries, all judging dogs. So I'm very blessed, man. There you go.
Oh, wow.
There you go. I
Wow.
was right there. I was in Egypt. I judged dogs in Egypt. This again was at another big national show there where I'm holding the award. But Egypt was amazing. You know, I like I said, I can't thank my community for that. You know, I'm a poor country Mexican boy out here, man. And to give you an idea of where I live, it's doubled in size because I grew here all my life. But there's 1,600 people here. To give an idea, that's me giving a seminar in Bogota, Colombia.
Wow.
Before a show, they wanted me to go over some things and teach the crowd. They had a crowd there. They brought them in. They want to learn how to, handle dogs, so forth. And that's me giving a seminar in Bogota, Colombia.
Wow.
Man,
listen. I mean, legend. I think fits when you're talking about this gentleman. Real quick, we got Caleb Weddle chiming in saying, "Mike, my dog," turns around and says, "Donald the Wizard." Raul, nothing but love for you. None but love for you, Caleb.
Right.
By the way, guys, Caleb does Tuesday Bully Live. Make sure to tune in and check out his live as well. Nothing but love, man. Real quick.
Donald speaks.
That's it. Hollywood, while you're on it, real quick, we have 2 new members. We got Caesar, just became a member.
Es claro que sí, cabrón.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón. And the next one we got is Rican
Es
Blues.
claro que sí, cabrón.
Very, very good.
Hey, nothing but love, man.
Real quick, I got to put a plug in for Caleb because I'm actually going to do his show real soon here. So I believe that's what I'm working with. Yeah, so I'm happy to do his show as well.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah, guys, you can definitely pick up Poppa Pitt. Yeah, you can definitely pick up Poppa Pitt with Caleb Weddle's live Tuesday live. I forget the name of it, man. I know it's called Tuesday Bully Live. That's what it's called.
Yeah, Tuesday Bully Live.
Make sure to check it out. Real quick, we got another question. Actually, it comes from Jose Hernandez. I just got to the live. Bloodlines you prefer. I'm sorry, that wasn't the question I wanted to bring up. Here it is. Whole lot of bulls says, is there an extreme dog in today's age that is the ultimate example of the breed in your eyes? Is there a particular dog that you feel is the ultimate example of the breed?
You know, I get asked these questions, like these particular questions, and give me 1 second.
You got it.
This question asked. I get this question asked as far as, like, for example, who do you think is, your top 5 dogs and so forth, and it's a hard question for me to answer. For the reason being is that whatever I say is very influential, and
Correct.
And I don't want to misguide, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. So I would like to answer that question, but I prefer to do it. You want to inbox me, I will tell you that. But to do it publicly is kind of hard. For the fact of the matter is that what I say carries a lot of merit, and there's other people that are deserving that have great dogs as well. But for me to pick out one dog and say this is him, it's detrimental for every other stud dog owner out there on the planet. So forgive me, and I hope I don't hurt feelings by saying that. But the thing is, I just feel like it's a heavy question that can affect the community all the way across the board.
Yeah.
I think it's very classy of you to do that, Poppa Pitt. How about this? Can you give us several bloodlines? That you like or you feel portray? And it doesn't have to be one. It could be as many as you like.
Yeah, sure. There was 2 lines that are no longer with us no more, and they're still out there. One was the Knollwood line, and this gentleman was actually a horse breeder. Thoroughbred horse breeder for race horses, and he started breeding Amstaffs a little bit. And his Amstaffs were the equivalent of the American Bullies you see today. And he had some amazing dogs with heavy bone, right? And I wish that they were here to influence the American Bully because they would have given the size, the bone, and everything, and kept the structure. The other one that I admired for many, many years, and I thought was a great dog, and it's in some of these dogs, and it's in some of these dogs that are very well known, is the Gaff line, which was Pam Carter. Pam Carter had some amazing dogs. She had a dog, for example, named, what was his name? God, I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember now, but he was like 92 pounds. This is an Amstaff, just a monster of a dog. So if I were to pick a line that I wish was still here today and I could influence in there, it would be those two lines. I would like to have them there. The other lines, the ones that have been established for many years here is the Gotti and, some of the Razor's Edge and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's some that I'm missing out on that were very influential and created some amazing dogs. Even the Remy line dogs, were very nice animals. They were just a little leggier for me, but I think that they could do great things with them bred right. So and again, there was so many in Southern California. I wish I knew some of the names of these guys because they were influential players and they deserve to be mentioned. But they're just pretty much the two basic lines out there is the Edge and the Gotti. But and I don't have any preference over one or the other. I think in combination they have made some pretty amazing dogs. And also now coming into this would be the Muscle Tone. I think that's another great line of dogs that, if you bred them properly, that you can make something pretty amazing. And a lot of people are using that line because those guys are the ones that are bringing all the bone, substance, and size. So right now, I think that's the line that's being used heavily because they're getting good results with it. So you gotta take your hat off to Bashard. He's done an amazing job. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think once you get to know the gentleman, you'll find out he's really a humble and a very generous man. I've known this guy way before he became where he's at today. And he's always been, like I said, he's a cocky guy. I mean, I think in life you have to be a little bit assertive. If not, you're going to be run over and pushed aside. Yeah. So
you gotta have confidence.
You got to have confidence. So, he's very confident and, you hear him talking and people say, well, I don't like the guy. They don't know him. But once you get to know this gentleman, sit down with him. So, he'll be the first, to take his shirt off his back or, drink, have a drink with you or have a bite to eat. And he's an awesome guy when you get to know him. A lot of people don't like him. And I'm okay with that. A lot of people don't like me. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So some things were, so it is I think the Muscle Tone line has actually been pretty influential. And in Europe, they got some pretty amazing Muscle Tone dogs. One came here yesterday to my house. A friend of mine came by that I've not seen in years. We go back 25 years. It was Apocalypse Kennels. And he came by, Mike Montgomery, and he brought a dog that he got from Germany. And it happened to be, I wish, man, he's got such a difficult name to pronounce. He's from Poland. And he put a couple of dogs over there in Germany. It was his dog and Simone and Guido's dog. It was a combination of those dogs, but they're both heavy muscle tone dogs. And this dog they brought over was just an amazing dog, beautiful animal, man. I'm saying so. My hat's off to it's actually Poland, muscle tone Poland, and Guido and Simone both had created this animal. Beautiful dog, though, man, just stunning dog. That's my crew right there, man. That's my family. The only missing there is my daughter, but these guys are the reason I am here today. They support me. They help me when I'm gone away. I wouldn't be able to travel if it wasn't for these people here.
Very nice. Beautiful family.
Thank you, man. If it was not for my sons and my wife watching the animals while I'm traveling, which is a lot of work. When you care for 14 dogs, it's a job. So if it was not for them and their support, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And that was one of my puppies. I wish I knew which one it was, but just a beautiful example of a puppy, man.
Look at the top line on that with the slope at the end. I love it.
Yeah, the turn stifle, nice pasterns. I mean, it's. I got to make a shirt out of that picture, man. It's so nice. That's my boy Soldier, man. I love that little part, man. He's an amazing little guy, man, and he's got some sons out there right now that are sought after. There's a dog out there named Oscar. Everybody wants to use Oscar. Oscar's lives taller than him and probably, 90 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Oscar's amazing. This boy here is my heart, man. This is Porky. He was Same thing with Soldier, same thing with Porky. Those guys were actually bred here. And Porky comes back off the old Corrupt line. And the picture where he's stacked, he's 11 months old. And the picture on the right, he's probably about 2 years old there. Just an amazing, beautiful animal. On the left is Soldier's mother, and on the right is Soldier. So you want to see some consistency?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, so that's his mother.
Damn.
Running across the yard, and that Soldier on the right. So, and that dog, his mother was just an amazing dog. On the left is Cookie. Cookie ended up going to Jamie Velasquez, and she did amazing things with that dog. That dog, it does bite work. It's a champion in probably 4 different registries. I mean, the dog is just above and beyond. And for doing bite work, it's the most loving dog you'll ever see. I mean, this female was raised with her daughter, and she can bring any dog into the yard. I don't give a damn if it's a little yappy little Frenchie or whatever, and she'll adapt to them, and she'll be their mama. Amazing dog. On the left is Perfina. Love this girl, man. Just an amazing girl, man.
Love her spread, man. She has very nice
my
spread.
God, man. Oh, this girl
Shoulder
was just
chest ratio.
stunning, man. It's so funny because when I became director of judges, I pretty much hung up my leash before we got off of Perfina, and I felt like I didn't give her what she deserves, and I didn't go in the showroom with it because being who I was, it was hard for me to show a dog. So even if I put a dog on a handler, it was people would look at it and say, well, it's running because it's Poppa Pitt's dog and blah blah blah. So I didn't step in the showroom. But that girl, I ended up sending her with a handler because I felt like, man, it's not fair to her. She was just an amazing dog, and so we started showing the dog, and she just started crushing everything, win. And word got out when that happens. They wonder who the owner is, right? So they ended up finding out I was the owner of the dog. So, and that's when all the whispers come in. Oh, it's because it's wrong dog. And at that, before they knew it was wrong, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's this,
beautiful
she's
dog."
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So she was one win away from being on the grand, and I pulled her because I don't want to hear the story. Something it was hard. So it's hard. So even to this day, I don't show a dog for the fact of the matter that it's very difficult to put a show dog in the ring that it belongs to me.
Yeah. All eyes on you, basically.
Right, and the dog on the right there, believe it or not, I should have sent you a picture, but that dog, believe it or not, is again that's Porky. Just an amazing boy, man. I really love this animal, man. And to give you an idea, I'm going to show you that dog. I sold this lady a dog, right? A very young girl, and long story short, she became very attached to the animal. And I come in here because I want to show you this. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
See, okay.
Dang, that's a nice
now,
drawing.
now you see this right here.
She drew it.
This is memorabilia.
Wow, 101 years. Yeah. National APVT show.
And I had one of my football players draw the drawing. He was 14 years old. He drew the drawing.
Wow.
And then, but back to this here, that right there, right? Well, that girl that painted that for me, she painted it. She came to me about a dog for me, right? And she told me, whatever you do, my parents, call you. You tell them you gave me the dog, because I'm getting in trouble if I spend that kind of money on a dog. And her name was Rhea, and I said, Rhea, not a problem. I'll do whatever you want, man. And so she has this dog, and a year later, she gets into this very serious car accident. I mean, she was in a coma for probably 2 months. Her mother was in a coma for a month, and her stepfather came out. He survived. He was pretty beat up. So she came out of this, right? And she had to relearn how to talk and everything, right? And the reason I'm telling the story is I want people to hear the story, but part of her rehabilitation was painting. And this girl could barely walk, and she was learning how to talk again, and she painted that. I mean, I was blown away.
Wow, when she came out of it.
Yeah, when she came out of it. And and like I said, and we would have to watch her when she walked because we didn't want her to fall and hurt herself and so forth. So again, like I said, just to give you an idea about how amazing that girl was, and she painted that just to thank me for always being a friend of hers and taking care of her and helping her with her dog. So I mean, I have another picture I should have sent to you. I got a picture where the gentleman presented me with it. I got it right here. There's a bunch of other pictures in the way, but you get the idea when I show it to you. Let me see here. Let me see. I get this on here. I don't know if you see this or not, but right here, you probably can't see this glare. But that's the water painting of me. That's the water painting of me with Diamond. And so they commissioned an artist to render that painting, and it was 5 guys, and they gave me that as a gift at my birthday. I think I can't remember, maybe I was 45, 50 years old, and they gave that to me as a birthday gift in thanks of mentoring him and helping him in the dog world. So I've been very blessed with some really awesome people, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm very blessed, man.
Hey, man.
Man, that's what it's about. That's what breeding is about, man. It's not just the dogs. Don't get me wrong. That's the glue that binds everything together. But it's the camaraderie, the friendship, the everything you just explained. A lady just came out of a car crash, possibly out of a coma or whatnot, and one of the first things she's drawing is you and your dog. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement within itself.
Oh, I'm telling you, and and you're so right, because it was the first thing she did, and I didn't know that she was actually a very good artist, and but she couldn't even use one of her hands. I mean, when she came out of this accident, I mean, she was a beautiful girl, Filipino girl, and to see her paint that, the dad would call me and say, Ron, you got a picture of that? I said, okay, send a picture, and then she goes, how does this look? And I said, oh my God, are you serious? And I didn't really. I take that back. I didn't know she was doing it until she presented it to me, and I was in tears, man. I couldn't believe it. Because I mean, when they brought it to me, they came from the coast. They were up by Monterey, in fact, and they drove down to me, which was about a 3.5-hour drive, and they said, Rumble, you come over for barbecue? Yeah, come over, right? So they presented me there, and I swear to you, man, I was shocked, man. I was like, wow.
Just the way I think about it, and I mean, that's just an amazing story. The way I think about it is, think about this. Nowadays that we have social media, it is said that for every 25 views, you get 1 like. And for every 150 views, you get 1 comment. So can you imagine somebody that just came out of a coma or something like that? And this is what inspired. This was the first thing that she found inspiration in, bro. That's very moving and very powerful. I am sure there's a lot of popular dogs out here that can never bring somebody to do something like that, man. So that's definitely a tribute. What you got, Mike? Shoot.
I got a question for Poppa Pitts. Hey, out of all the dogs you ever produced, what have been your favorite and why?
Oh my God, man, that's a list.
I have a feeling Porky's the one right there. I have a feeling
Porky's way up the top, man. I'm telling you, it's so funny because another story, man. Porky, believe it or not, he was phenomenal, man. I mean, to this day, people remember Porky. But this is a story behind Porky. I was campaigning his mother, which is Ramos' Sugar Plum of O'Brien, right? And she was coming on about a year old, right? And at the age of 7 months old, she was like the number 4 dog or 3 dog in the UKC rankings of show dogs. And I used to put a lot of hours, and I was a maintenance tech for the Silver Corporation, so I was constantly working. So what happened? I went to work when it was a Mother's Day. I had to go. I told the boss, "Hey, if you guys want to come in at 4 a.m, put your 8 hours, you go home, and you have the rest of the day off with your family." So we did that. Right? I came home, and I always go straight to the kennels when I come home from work. I went in the back, and her kennel was empty, and it was so funny because at first I just opened the door, looked, and I thought like something's wrong. So I went back out again, and her kennel was empty. Well, they stole him. They had stole the girl from me, and the ironic thing is that I get a call roughly 2 years to 3 years, 3 years after she was stolen, right? I happened to be at a show in Southern California, and I get a call, and it says, "This Ron Ramos?" I said, "Yes, it is." And he goes, "This is the SPCA." He said, "We got one of your dogs." And I'm like, I'm back in my head, I'm thinking like, them damn boys didn't lock the gate or some shit. I'm pissed off, right? I'm gonna call the boys and you guys aren't watching the dogs, right? So so they go. I says, that's are you sure? He goes, yeah. He goes, do you have a dog named Sugar Plum? Sugar Plum, all right? I says, and then I get pissed off. They're like, hey, whoever this is, you're not funny.
Right.
Go, what do you mean it's not funny? And I cussed a little bit there. I'm not gonna say the word I said. I said, don't F with me. I said, well, don't cuss me an officer. I don't know. You can call my phone number. You could be anybody, right?
Right.
He goes, no. And so they says, I says, where are you at? I said, where are you at? I said, I'm in Glen Helen Park in LA doing the dog show, right? And they go, are you serious? I said, yeah. Well, where are you at? He goes, we're in Gresham, Oregon. So Gresham, Oregon happens to be where Washington, Oregon, and I think it's Idaho all meet together. It's a little corner up there. And I told him, I says, are you serious? Are you sure? He goes, yes. And he goes, do not release that dog to anybody. Well, you need to come get her today. I said, man, please, I'm in Los Angeles. That dog was stolen from me 2 years ago, right? And he said, are you serious? I said, yeah. Well, I happened to get that damn dog microchipped. That was when it all started coming out, and I microchipped her. And so I told him, listen, do not get a dog. That's a very valuable dog. It's a show dog. I've had that dog for many years, and it was stolen from me. So they were gracious enough to give me a grace period, and I ended up having some friends up there, thank God. I said, hey, listen, I need you to go get my dog. I told them who you are. I gave them your license number and all that stuff, so that way it was only released to you. And they went up and got the dog for me. And then I ended up going, it took me a total of 3 weeks to get to her. So when I got to her and I seen her, I couldn't believe it, right? And she had 2 cowlicks, one on each shoulder, and that was to me like, I felt like I was going to think, I'm hoping it's her. Then when I seen the cow, so that's her. And when she seen me, it was like a reunited story you see in an airport. She ran up to me, loved me, hugged me, and it was just a beautiful thing.
She remembered, of course.
Oh my gosh, she did, man. So we brought her home, right? And then we bred her to a dog named Da Vinci, which was West Coast Bully Da Vinci, which is owned by David Tillis. And David Tillis happened to be the boyfriend to the lady that painted my picture, So we bred to that boy, and we created this boy here. And this dog was just phenomenal. He's off the corrupt line, and this is a prime example of corrupt to gaff, and man, just spectacular, man.
We have a couple questions on. We have a couple questions on the corrupt line. One of them is coming off of Caleb Weddle. Is Porky off of the corrupt line? I believe you had mentioned that. Yes,
he is. He is the grandson of corrupt. And if you go and if you look to, you could probably still find YouTube video of his father, which was Da Vinci's West Coast Bullies. Amazing little pocket bully. He was before his time, man.
Damn. Wow.
We have another question coming in from Chuck Charles saying, what's some good advice on adding corrupt blood? Is there something you gotta I don't know, permiss before you bring corrupt line in?
No, not really. The thing is, now the question is more is, where can you find the purest form of corrupt? Because it's been gone so many years now. Don't get me wrong, there are still some dedicated breeders to it, but it's more of finding it, you know what I'm saying, and seeing what kind of quality it was. The last amazing corrupt dog that I remember was, what was the name? Oh, I think it was the California Kid. I think he was in, I want to say he was in Colorado, Nevada, but he just recently passed away. And I wanted to breed him so bad, but it never happened because it was just an amazing line. Those guys really produce some beautiful dogs, man.
Wow, it's funny you're saying that, Poppa, because this question can kind of give a prelude. And what I mean by that is they're asking, what do you think about breeding to load the back of the pedigree? What I'm going to ask on top of this question is, what do you think about having corrupt line in the background? Are you able to bring it out? And if so, how would you do it?
Again, you have to locate a corrupt dog. That's the hardest part. That's going to be your hardest search, you know what I'm saying? Is finding that corrupt line. And not only that, but, I know there's a lot of guys that use like the Punic square for breedings and this, you got to be a math genius to understand some of that stuff, you know what I mean? And I'm not that guy, but the thing is, I will say this, though, is a lot of guys will, you don't hear it as much as you did back in the day. Back you would hear, my dog is, 16 times, diddly wop and 30 times shoe bop shoo. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't understand is I'm not doubting it, you know, and in theory, this is why I talk about the puny square and all this stuff, because in theory, the more times you have the dog in your pedigree, the more likely it's going to produce that look. But that's a half truth, because what happens is if you start going 3 generations, 4 generations back, it's like a shot of tequila. Well, you know, I'm going to share it with you, but all I got is a bottle of water. So I'm going to pour a little bit of tequila in each one of these 4 shot glasses. Then I'm going to pour a little bit of water in all those shot glasses. So, you know, you're still going to get that little bit of a bite of that tequila, but guess what? It's pretty weak.
It's watered down.
It's watered down. So this is why a lot of people say this, and I don't think they realize. And a lot of guys will stand behind me and say, "Oh, Ron, you're full of doo doo." You know, I got them in there, and in the puny square and all this stuff. I'm going to get that. Well, if that's the case, then where's another Dax, identical to him? You know, where is there another corrupt? You know, they're not out there, man. I'm sorry to say that to you guys. You're not cloning. You know, so some of those things. Can you get close? You can get damn close. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying you know it's a matter of locating and finding that strand of blood again.
This is true. We have 2 more questions I want to shoot at you because I think they're excellent questions. First one is coming from Pinnacle Bully Kennels LLC. I'm sure you're a mentor to many breeders and show handlers. Who is your mentor and who has influenced you as a handler?
Man, that's a beautiful question, man. You know, that's one of the questions I you know,
he did a
the reason
spin, man.
that,
I'm about to thumbs up on that question.
yeah.
Well, you have to give him
It's one of the questions that
I would give them a spin, but they got to be a member. That I just got to throw that out there. Go ahead.
The question is, you know, it's a great question because I don't get to ask that too often, right? So with that being said, my mentor was Patty Allen. That's where I got my first show dog. Was that black and white boy I showed you? His name was Spanky's Midnight Raider. Patty Allen was the most generous, poor oaky woman I've ever known in my life, man. She lived in a little tiny house. The dog on the left there, that's him. And that woman never told me no. You know, when I bought the dog, I'm going to give you an example. When I bought Spanky, I was newly married. I got married very young. I was 17 years old. Not a lot of money. You know, a 17-year-old kid doesn't make a lot of money. You work in the gas station, you know, or picking grapes or some kind of farm labor and stuff. And that's when I was very young and I had to feed kids. So with that being said, I was working at a small plant here that made foam and the packing foam. So I went to the wife, says, you know, I'm gonna get a show dog. You know, because I've always had dogs my entire life, and I always gravitated back to the Pitbull with all the different varieties that are owned. So I told her, she goes, yeah, you can get a dog. I said, cool. So I says, it's gonna cost you $500. You know, and she looked at me like, $500. You ain't getting that dog, man. I said, you got kids to feed. You got kids to feed. You know, you want them. You find a way to get the money, but it ain't coming out of your check and budget. So I respect that. You're saying I understand. Trust me now. So what did I do? I set up a barrel, a little, you know, 55-gallon plastic barrel in my work, and sit in the lunchroom. And I say, hey, you guys, I'm got a project I'm working on. Can you just drop your soda cans in there? Well, that dog was bought on soda cans, dude. I'm not making that stuff up, man. That's the truth, man. I bought that dog saving soda cans, man, because I didn't have the money at the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, man. So, and I bought it from Patty. And the reason I say I mentioned Patty Allen, and I said what a little skinny poor you smoked like a train, dude. Raspy voice. Hey, Rod, how you doing? And it never stopped, man. You know what I'm saying? And it broke my heart because I wanted her to stop because I just love the woman. Well, to let you know about this woman.
Oh, he got a phone call.
Oh,
I'm sorry, you guys.
it's all
Yes, okay. So when I got this dog, man, believe it or not, I really didn't know about showing, right? So I went to Patty, and I knew I love pit bulls, but I didn't know history of pit bulls, right? So I would go there, I swear to you, man, daily. Thank God my wife was understanding and forgiving me, because I would leave work and go straight to that lady's house, and I would go there Monday through Sunday. You know, and I did this for like a year, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was like a sponge, because she was telling me so much and I was learning so much. And she would have mock shows on the weekend for us to learn how to. She would get all the people she show dogs to. She'd say, come on out, you guys. I'm going to teach you guys how to show dogs. We'd show up in a little park and we'd have a mock show. and she would tell us, okay, and we would take turns being judges. That way the dog would get used to seeing different people come up to the dogs. And we had these little mock shows. And this woman dedicated her life to us people that got her dogs and stuff, right? Her husband was a truck driver and stuff. And the poor woman, man, she would feed me even. I would stay so damn late. She was like, well, dinner's ready, Ron. Come on. I mean, I was in the living room anyway. You know? So, I mean, that woman was, honest to God, she was very influential in my life, man. And the sad thing is, I always wanted to take a good picture with her. I got an old picture when we first met, but I want to get a picture, updated picture. And I kept trying to find her, and I found her, and I kept procrastinating. And she passed away 3 years ago, you know, and that really broke 3 or 4 years, and broke my heart because I kicked myself in my ass because I should have got that picture because she was that important to me. There was no Poppa Pit without Patty Allen, you know what I'm saying, to be honest.
Good story.
You know, and that's the truth, you know what I'm saying. And then as far as handlers, you know, I had people here, you know, one of the people that really influenced me in handling, believe it or not, was a gentleman by the name of, oh God, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. He's having to get old. Oh God, George Luna. George Luna is the son of California, and I remember George handling dogs, and it's so funny because George Luna was another straight gangster. You know, I mean, he had tattoos from the tip of his toes to the top of his head, but that back in them days, you know, they were a little bit more discreet, so they didn't have nothing below the wrist or above the neck. Because, you know, when you're gang affiliated, those are telltale signs that you're not from here. And I remember he would travel, and he would come to Fresno, and he was from Los Angeles, and he'd be buttoned up on a shirt. It'd be 110 degrees, but he'd be buttoned up like a wrapped sandwich, man, because he didn't want nobody to see his tattoos, because, you know, they'll kill him, you know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, he was a great handler. There was Wendy O'Donnell. There was... I had a mentor, Greg Connor, with the AKC, and Greg Connor, believe it or not, he taught me a lot of little tips and tricks because the UKC is very competitive, and these guys take it to a whole different level. You know, the AKC is like the major leagues and the minor leagues. You know, when you make it in the AKC, that's the big leagues. Those, you know, people don't realize that some of those handlers make 6 figures. The handlers make 6 figures. You know, and yeah, it's a fact. And these guys are like. These are like, you know, these are like pro boxers, more like the amateur league, man, you know what I'm saying? You know, and I learned little tricks for them. And people don't realize, like you see in the Westminster, those dogs are groomed days in advance, and they groom them. They take some, you know, 2 days just to prepare them for a show, you know, cutting and trimming and, you know, highlighting the coats, you know, and it's amazing what they do. You know what I'm saying? So, but those are the people that I felt very influential, and there was other people like. I had a lot of respect for Pam Carter, which is the owner of Gap Kennels. You know, I learned a lot from her. You know, when she spoke, I listened because I felt she knows a lot. And one of my mentors of today and present time is a lady by the name of Jamie Sweet. Jamie Sweet is an amazing woman. She is the creator and founder of the Shorty Bull. And that woman to me is a wealth of knowledge. You know, and I keep trying to convince her to write a book. And if you ever want to get somebody on your podcast, man, that's the lady you need to research. I mean, that woman is honest God truth. She's an amazing woman. And another person that's been in dogs her entire life. You know, her dad was a breeder. She's a breeder. And she just knows a ton of stuff, man.
Good stuff.
And that's thank you for the insight, man. I mean, that was an excellent question. We have another one coming up. This one, I'm not sure if it's for Poppa Pit, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Not sure if my questions went through. I saw a post that Embark was not including bullies anymore. I don't think this is true. Is this true for Mike Green? Saw a post on Facebook, all the jazz. What are his expectations? So, Mike Green, do you know anything about this?
I do. I know all that jazz is a Bad Betty daughter that lives with Donald Gaines. So I don't know about that much with all that jazz. You had to ask Donald that question.
I'm waiting for her Embark to come back right now, so I don't think that part of it is true that they're not doing bullies anymore.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
I wouldn't think so, but there was a strong push of bullies going to them, so I wouldn't think that was going to happen.
No. So what's the plans? So what's the expectations for All that jazz.
All that jazz is got a boyfriend. They just pen pals right now. But
man.
he sent her something I'm supposed to pick up at FedEx at 9:30 in the morning. So we got a big surprise for you. But man, we don't like counting our chicken before they hatch. So we're gonna be in prayer for like 30 days, and then we'll have a big surprise for you because it's something that Mike and I probably are as excited about it as any dog we've ever had bred.
That's right. So
I
you probably
see
won't
the
see
twinkle in your eyes.
Hey, you probably won't see these dogs till they 4 weeks, but if you plan on picking one up, I doubt that. But anyway, if there's a chance for you to get one, go ahead and get your bag ready.
This is all I'm going to say. This is all I'm going to say. Donald said they're very excited. So
Master.
that's all I'm going to say about it.
We've been doing
Jedi
a progesterone
Master.
test on her like every 3 hours since she dropped a piece of blood, man.
Wow, man. Let me tell you, this is
Very good.
This has been a phenomenal live because we have a legend on the show, and I feel like, not just that, if you were to add all the years of breeding, even though I only got 10 years in, but if you were to add it, I think it would be pretty impressive. Poppa Pitt, a lot of people look up to you, man, and the way you handle yourself. All I can say is, salute to you. Salute to the brand that you represent. And I'm not just talking about your dogs. I'm talking about your person. I'm talking about the hat you wear and the way you part of the history of the American Bully and the way you have also helped it develop, whether it's through teaching, telling us the story, which this video is going to remain 20 years from now. Poppa Pitt, you might click on this video and look back and, you might call me up or call Gaines up and we're all going to have a tear in our eyes. And let me just tell you, man, it's been an honor to have you on. Do you have any questions for us? Is there anything that, I don't know, you've always wanted to ask or you want to add, anything in general?
Well, something I gotta say, like I said, see some. I've been kind of a, what's the term they use? A creeper. What is that? I've been stalking you, man, because I've been watching you, bro. I have, really, man. I for a long time was watching, like, who the hell is this guy, man? Who does he think he is, man? And I'm like, I'm thinking, oh shit, this guy knows his stuff, man. So it's refreshing to see that, And the other thing is that I wish I had your skills to get to do this type of stuff. I don't do these type of things. I don't feel comfortable on the computer for that. And a lot of people tell me, you're a brand, you should do this, and I have no idea about branding. Like I said, I'm just a country boy. I wish I would have somehow figured a way to monetize it. Not that it's important to me, but the thing is, it just makes a big difference. Because it's an expensive hobby. Everybody, let's be honest about it. This is not a cheap hobby.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things I wish I would have done. But overall, I've admired the show, and I admire these two guys at the bottom. They remind me of remember the two guys in the balcony of the Muppets?
Oh yeah,
Oh man, yeah.
I'm like, I knew I seen these guys somewhere, man.
That's funny.
Oh man,
But
that's good, man.
Thank you for putting up with my humor, and like I said, I love you guys. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'm honored that I get to be archived, and maybe somewhere down the road, somebody look back and say, "Hey, I remember that guy," and. The way I want to be remembered is that somebody that gave to the community, that I was a mentor, and I contributed. There's a lot of people known for a lot of things, and sometimes they're not always for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think I pretty much set my place in stone. That I've been that person. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very blessed. And again, I feel like sometimes, and I said this a million times in all these interviews, that I feel like thank you is such a weak word to tell people that have given me a life that I would have never expected. I'm telling you, it's like, I felt like I was like a little gold nugget found in the dirt road someplace, but God blessed me to see the world. You know, because you think about it, I come from such a small community. Who's ever going to find a Poppa Pit there? You know what I'm saying? So I give thanks to them. I give thanks to all the registries that have given me a platform to move forward and help them develop their dogs and their registries. So I am thankful for them, even though some of them we are not in the best of terms. But the thing is, they did give me opportunity, and I'm thankful. But at the same token, it was a marriage that we both gave to each other and we both grew from. So it wasn't a one-sided giving and take all. So I'm honestly grateful for that, and I want to make that clear because those people did help as well. So with that being said, I really thank you guys.
Hey, Poppa Pit, thank you. One thing that stood out as I was going over everything I could find on you is that you love the dogs. You loved every dog that you're working with. And for that, I think that's inspirational. We love dogs. And man, just thank you for keeping it so real and so basic.
Yes.
Don't forget that this dog is valuable. It's something that's just unmistakable. And man, thank you for loving them like you do and setting such a good example, man, for how to treat.
I'm glad you said it. For the fact of the matter, because what happens is, you witness this. Sometimes there's a little bit of a divide. We'll sit around, we'll call each other names. Oh, it's a reindeer, or it's this, or it's that. And at the end of the day, if you're a true passionate dog person, you're going to love every dog. I mean, I've judged, part of my history growing up into this is that when I first came to the American Bully, the UKC AKC people that I had been participating with for many years were kind of upset with me. And they were saying like, oh man, you're screwing up. You're going over there. They're creating mutts and this, that. And I took the proactive stance of saying, it's easy to stand on the sideline and throw rocks, but get in there, participate. You don't like what you see, get in there, help them. And I was that guy. I jumped in there and helped them, and I tried to help develop the breed. So, and I'm a firm believer that a sharp tongue never taught a lesson. So I've been very blessed, man. I love all breeds, all dogs. I think if you're a real true dog lover, you're gonna understand the reasoning behind why each dog was developed.
Right. Well, thank you for mentoring us today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Poppa Pit, we have a tradition here, and that is we do amazing outros. So just so you can get accustomed to it, I'm going to start it out with Hollywood. We're going to go to Gaines. We're going to go to you, and then we're going to close it out. All right? Let me bring up Hollywood. Hollywood, there you go. Here you go.
Hey, don't forget, if you won tonight on the wheel, please get with me within the next 24 hours. You have 24 hours to get with me. Check back on the live, and I'll drop it down there. It's your boy Hollywood Holland, your boy in the back of the queue. I'm catching you on the next one.
Gaines Bullies.
All right, it's the men from the balcony, man. Holla at your boy, man. Hey, Poppa Pit, don't hang up.
Poppa Pit.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was a great live, man. I think it's one of the best ones I've done. Again, amazing show. Hollywood in the background. The guy, he's back there. He's the unsung hero. He did a great job. Gaines, you guys are awesome, man. I admire what you guys are doing. Someday I get to hook up with you guys and drink a cup of coffee or a cold beer from that. So it's been fun. And Raw, like I said, I've been following you, man. I'm watching you, big dog. So with that being said, I got puppies also real quick. If you guys need the puppies, I got some there. Some that are working mass price. They're pet quality. But at the end of this, thank you very much. Peace, and we'll see you in the show ring.
You got it. Hey, you already know. We do this every Monday. 8 p. CST. It's been Raul from the Q. Catching you on the next one.